you doing, everybody? Welcome back to Monster Territory, brought to you by the Foul Territory Network. I hope you've all enjoyed the All-Star break. We've had a couple of days to recharge the batteries here, and I know, we're all excited for the Red Sox to get back to the field. 10 straight wins coming into the All-Star break. They got the Cubbies coming up this weekend. In fact, they got a lot of good teams coming up here on the schedule, so it's not going to be getting any easier here, but we got the trade deadline in a couple of weeks. There's going to be a lot of coverage on the trade deadline here on Monster Territory over the next couple of weeks. So make sure you have your notifications turned on, both on YouTube, podcast format, wherever you consume this show. But like I said, we've had the All-Star break here. Nice to have a couple of days to recharge those batteries. And we've actually had a pretty eventful week, I would say. Had the All-Star game. You had that swing-off. Absolute cinema, if you ask me. We had the Home Run Derby. Cal Raleigh, the Home Run Derby champion. But we also had the draft. I love the draft. Every single year, that's one of my favorite things to pay attention to. And yet again, the Red Sox going very heavy with the pitching in this one. 15 pitchers taken out of the 21 players total, 6 position players. A lot of similarities with the draft last year. A lot of big-bodied pitchers, guys that are absolute tanks, where maybe the velo needs to be increased a little bit. Maybe the stuff needs to be tweaked a little bit. You saw a lot of that in this one. But, with the few position players they did take, I do see some upside with those guys. So what we're going to do in this episode, I'm going to go pick by pick, give you a quick rundown of every single player. And spoiler alert, I really like this draft for the Red Sox. I would give it an A overall. And that's not even being biased. I think they just stuck to their plan that they've been doing here over the last year. Pitching development has really taken a turn in the best possible way, in my opinion. And I think they just took more of what they were doing last year with guys like Peyton Tolley, Brandon Clark. These guys have taken big steps forward, and very excited to see what these guys can do here coming out of this draft. But before I get started, everyone, if you can, hit the like button for me. Subscribe if you're new. Let's dive into it here. So at pick number 1, we had Kyson Witherspoon out of Oklahoma. And here was another thing that happened, just like last year. They got a birthday gift in the first round. Now, Kyson Witherspoon, this guy was projected to go in the top 10. He was ranked number 10 on Pipeline and number 7 on Baseball America. And actually, if you're with me here on YouTube, if you can see my screen, then you could see that I'm on Baseball America. I do prefer Baseball America over Pipeline. I think they're a bit more detailed when it comes to their scouting. I like Pipeline's presentation of everything, but for me, Baseball America, that's my main outlet. Again, they had him ranked number 7 on Baseball America. So the fact that you got him at number 15, that is incredible value, if you ask me. Now, with Kyson Witherspoon, he's got a pretty solid build, 6'2", right around 200 pounds. Very good season at Oklahoma last year. 16 starts, ERA at a 2.65, just under 12 strikeouts per 9, 2 walks per 9. Very good strikeout to walk ratio. Now, when it comes to Witherspoon, a bit of a jerky delivery, in my opinion. There is a bit of a short arm action with him. Sort of reminds me of Lucas Giolito. So I do wonder about the arm health down the road, possibly. Remember, we saw Giolito get elbow surgery not too long ago. But with Witherspoon, this guy is really well built. He's got a good frame, and sure, it is a bit of a jerky delivery, but it's very athletic. He moves very well. So I don't think it's going to be an issue moving forward with Witherspoon, and he's got very good stuff here. Mid to upper 90s velo. He's got a sharp slider, very good curveball, has a cutter in the mix as well. Changeup needs a little bit of a tweak, but to me overall, there's just a lot to like. Looking at the grades here on Baseball America, they give the fastball a 60, slider a 60, curveball at a 50, changeup at a 45, the cutter is at a 55, and he throws a good amount of strikes. So that's another thing where maybe that jerkiness in the delivery can maybe, for some guys out there, can maybe come back to haunt them a little bit. But with him, it doesn't really seem to be an issue when it comes to throwing strikes. So overall, I think this is a solid pick. I think the Red Sox did a great job just not passing on him. You had to take him in that spot. So why he fell down, I don't know. I'm not sure what the reasoning was for that, but I think for the Red Sox, they got an awesome pick here at number 1. Moving on to Marcus Phillips for their competitive balance pick. Now, taking a look at Marcus Phillips, out of Tennessee, they're giving him a 55 on the fastball, 55 on the slider, and not really too much for a changeup at 45, and the control they only give at a 45. But here's the thing about Marcus Phillips. I think there's a lot of potential here. And here's another big-bodied guy. He's a little bit bigger than Kyson Witherspoon, 6'4", 250. Has more of that Peyton Tolley kind of a build. Just looks like a linebacker out there. He's just massive. But what I like about Phillips is that he has a physical delivery, but it's also smooth at the same time. I like to focus on the delivery because to me, if your mechanics are looking good, the better you're going to be at throwing strikes and, the more effective your stuff can end up being as well. Now, with Phillips, he does have a bit of arm whip, so that can lead to injuries down the road. But if he can kind of keep himself in check, if he makes sure that, the scapula nice and strong, keeps the shoulders strong, I think it's going to be fine. And like I said, this guy's built like a linebacker. I think he's going to be durable. I really like the way Marcus Phillips is built and the way he moves out there. But the fastball, really like the fastball. Now, it could use a little bit more life, in my opinion. I think it can look a little flat at times. But with the Red Sox, they've done a very good job at developing velo over the last year. Look at Peyton Tolley. When they took him, his velo was, in the low 90s. And you take a look at Peyton Tolley now, he's sitting, mid to upper 90s now. So I think this is going to be a nice home for Marcus Phillips overall. And maybe they could tweak something a little bit to get a little bit more action on the fastball. With the slider, like I said, they give it a 55. And it's a lot of spin on the slider. It's a good out pitch overall. Now, the changeup, I think they do go a little low on the changeup here. It's a 45. I believe on Pipeline, they give it a 50. Has some pretty nice fade to it. I think he just needs to be a bit more consistent with it and just use it a bit more often. And he did improve his command a lot this past year. Now, back in 2024, right around 7 walks per 9, but this past season, he was at 3.7 walks per 9. So I think there's a good canvas here with Marcus Phillips. Like I said, big body, looks like a linebacker out there. Good athletic delivery, in my opinion. There's potential with the stuff with him. I think there is a chance, sure, Kyson Witherspoon, tons of upside with him, but I think with Phillips, being in the Red Sox organization, I think there's a chance he could end up being maybe even the best pick out of this draft, in my honest opinion. I just love the way he's built. I love the action with him. Marcus Phillips, very high on him. Now, for the next pick, in not quite the 3rd round, this was their next competitive balance pick, or their next compensation pick. They took Henry Godbout out of Virginia. Now, University of Virginia, that might ring a couple of bells for some of you out there. Remember, they took Kyle Teal out of University of Virginia. So when they were scouting Kyle Teal, they were also able to get some eyeballs on Henry Godbout. Now, let's kind of rewind a little bit. 1st round, they were connected with Gavin Keelan quite a bit. And out of Tennessee, Gavin Keelan, good contact hitter, and he really upped his power this past year at Tennessee. So the fact that, even though Keelan, he went to San Francisco, the Red Sox ended up with Kyson Witherspoon, I think they ended up getting very good value here with Henry Godbout because he also makes a ton of contact. Has a 55 hit tool here on Baseball America. Now, as you can see, not really too much power, but with me personally, I think you could tap into a little bit more there, try to get a bit more bat speed with him. But the one thing you don't have to worry about with Godbout is the plate discipline. 69 walks last year, 70 strikeouts. 1 less walk compared to the strikeouts. That is a very good ratio. That's excellent. He's going to be very hard to strike out. This guy, he's going to take his walks. He's going to put a ton of contact on the ball. Really love his game at the plate. I'm a big contact guy. I love a guy that can just put the bat on the ball. I love a guy that understands the strike zone, a guy that just has good pitch recognition. You're going to get a lot of that with Henry Godbout. Now, he does have a bit of a leg kick with his stance, but again, he just has a knack for getting the bat on the ball. He makes consistent hard contact. Now, like I said, not a lot of power necessarily, but I think with the Red Sox, they've done well with the hitting development. Maybe they can get a little bit more power, maybe get a little bit more of an angle on the bat to try and get a little bit more poppy pop there. And also, I forgot to mention this about the plate discipline. This guy doesn't swing and miss. I mean, he has one of the lowest swing and miss rates in all of college baseball last year. Now, positional-wise, looking more like a second baseman. Virginia, they were hoping for him to be playing more shortstop this year, but second base looked to be more of a comfortable spot for him. I could honestly see him being some kind of a utility player, second base. I could see him maybe even playing some first, to be completely honest. He doesn't have too much of a run tool. He's at a 45. So, I could see first base, maybe second, maybe even left. I think there is going to be some versatility with Henry Godbout. Really like this pick overall. I just think very good value overall.
The way to buy, sell, or trade your cards is Arena Club. It is the top marketplace in the biz to get that done. And Kratz, we love the slab pack situation because rolling through a ton of cards, physically opening them, finding all kinds of commons that end up folded or in the garbage is old news. Why not get a slab pack and get a chance at a card worth thousands of dollars?
I was a common card. It's okay if you don't get me in your slab pack because you put as little as $25 for a slab pack and you could pull out something that's worth thousands of dollars. And it's a keepsake that you get to wait, you know what? It might be worth this much today, but I get to watch the value grow.
And right now you can get 20% off your first slab pack or card purchase by going to arenaclub.com/foul and use the code FOUL. That's 20% off your first card purchase or slab pack at arenaclub.com/foul, code FOUL.
Now, going into the third round, we had Anthony Eyanson out of LSU. Here is another good arm, I think, another good canvas to work with here, in my opinion. Now, Anthony Eyanson, right-hander out of LSU, ranked number 32 by Baseball America, and they got him at 87. That's very good value. Last year, very good season at LSU, had an ERA at 3 over 20 games, just under 13 strikeouts per 9, 3 walks per 9, and sure, he doesn't have that linebacker kind of a build, but he's more like Witherspoon here, but very good stuff, in my opinion. The breaking pitches are very good with him. I'll get to that next point here in a second, but breaking pitches, nasty slider. It's low to mid-80s. He locates it well, has a ton of swing and miss on it. Solid curveball, has good movement on it. It does need to get guys to chase it a little bit more, but it has good characteristics. Now, taking a look here at the grades, slider on Baseball America, they give it a 60. Curveball at a 55. Changeup, it does need some work. It has potential there, but he hasn't fully shown all of it. He has good movement with it, but he lacks command on it at times. Now, as for the fastball, now you're wondering, well, what's going on with the fastball, Rob? You're talking about all these breaking pitches. Well, here's kind of that canvas that I'm talking about. Right now, he's sitting more in the low 90s. Gets it to the upper 90s sometimes. Does need a bit more life on it, but again, the Red Sox have done very well with this over the last year. So the fact that he has very good breaking stuff already, and if they can just get that velo up a little bit more, get a bit more consistency with the changeup, I think Anthony Eyanson could end up being a very good pick here for the Red Sox. I was saying here, Marcus Phillips, I think he has the potential to maybe be the best pick out of this draft. But Anthony Eyanson, I think, has a lot of upside here too. So, we'll see how this all goes. But very excited about the 3 pitchers that they took here out of their first 4 picks. I think there's a ton of upside with these guys. Now, moving on to the 4th round, we had Mason White. Now, I'm going to say this right off the bat. He kind of reminds me of Nate Eaton a little bit. A guy that has some decent, with Nate Eaton, he's very athletic. I would say maybe a slightly less athletic version of Nate Eaton. Let me explain here. Now, Mason White, shortstop out of Arizona. I'd say minus the hit tool, he's pretty balanced. He has a good balance of power upside and athleticism. He did very well last year at Arizona, hitting .327 and 1,100 OPS, 20 homers, 17 doubles, and 8 triples. Now, he's a bit undersized. That's kind of where I see a bit of Nate Eaton in there a little bit. 5'11". They give him a 50 run grade. I personally would go a little higher than that. I think he has shown pretty good speed in college. That's just my opinion personally. I would go more with a 55 run. So, and the power, there's good power upside here, right? He's got good pop off the bat, even though he's 5'11". He just has a knack for just making hard contact and getting the ball in the air. The problem with Mason White as of right now, he needs to improve the contact rate. Only a 75% contact rate last year and had a 32% chase rate. So he's got to improve getting the bat on the ball. He's got to improve the plate discipline a little bit. We'll see. The Red Sox, like I've said, they've done very well when it comes to improving the hitters in their system. We'll see what ends up happening here. At number 148 in the 5th round, we had Christian Fouch. Another big frame guy here, 6'3", 240 pounds. Big velo from Christian Fouch out of Arkansas. On Pipeline, they give it a 65 grade on the fastball. Very good velo. Very good velo. He's going to be pretty much in the upper 90s for the most part. I would personally say it would be more of a 60 or maybe even a 55. I think the reason is because it doesn't have a lot of life. It's got good velo, but I need a little bit more something to it. I need a little bit more tail, more cut, whatever it may be. It's pretty much flat for the most part. And velo is great. But, the way these hitters are now in Major League Baseball, they're catching up to these pitches now, right? 10, 20 years ago, you got a guy like this, he's dominating. But in today, you could have a guy middle relief throwing in the upper 90s and he can get shelled. So you need to do a little something with the fastball, but he has a very good splitter. Upper 80s splitter, a lot of downward movement on it. That's his bread and butter pitch, if you ask me. That's a very good out pitch. He needs to improve the command, though. That is a big thing with me that I've noticed right off the bat with him. He leaves too many pitches over the plate, too many hittable pitches, in my opinion. So that's something they're going to have to work with, whether it's something mechanically, whatever it may be. Now, scouts are saying he has more of a ceiling of a setup man. We'll see. Maybe if the Red Sox can do something there, maybe can unlock even something a little further. I do agree he's probably more of a reliever moving forward, but who knows? Maybe he could be a possible closer down the road. He has the velo for it, has the nasty splitter to go along with it. I think there is that potential. We'll see if the Red Sox can unlock a little bit more there. In the 6th round at pick 178, they picked Leighton Finley. Mr. Leighton Finley. And you know what? Actually, the next 4 picks, I'll kind of put these guys all under one umbrella here. The next 4 picks from the 6th to 9th round, big-bodied pitchers with low velo. You had 3 of these guys that are at least 6'5". One of them was 6'3". The 6'5" guys, you had Leighton Finley, Dylan Brown, and Jacob Meyers. And at 6'3", you had Miles Patton. Now let's start off with Leighton Finley. Big guy, 6'5", like I said. Right around 220 pounds. The guy's just built like a big old countryman out there. He honestly, to me, kind of watching some of the highlights with him, he's like a Peyton Tolley light from the right side, if that makes sense. He has a similar arm slot. And this was a pretty big reach here. He is ranked number 357 on Baseball America, and they got him at 178. He was unranked on Pipeline. However, got a good amount of strikeouts last year, 27.5 K percentage last season. He's just got to get that velo up. Right now, he's just kind of sitting in the low 90s for the most part. They did it with Tolley. Can they do it with him here? He can get it up to the upper 90s. He has shown that ability. But again, that's kind of where I see a bit of Peyton Tolley here. He's got a decent low 80s slider. He's got a 12.6 curveball, mid 80s changeup. Again, I think there's something to work with here with Leighton Finley. There's a canvas. Now, moving on to Miles Patton. Out of this group, he's the quote, unquote, smaller of the bunch here. But Miles Patton, out of Texas A&M, he was ranked at number 157 by Baseball America. Did have a high ERA this past year, but he had a pretty solid strikeout to walk ratio, 25% K rate versus a 5% walk rate. Not bad. throws a ton of strikes. They give him a 55 control here when it comes to his grades. So no problems at all finding the strike zone. Again, it's just getting this stuff up here. He's got a low 90s fastball. Does have some cut action to it, though. They're not very high on it, though. They give it a 40 on the fastball grade. Let's see if the Red Sox can do something there. Now, the changeup, they do give it a 50 grade. There is some tumble there. Has pretty good command of the pitch overall. I'd say maybe just need to maybe get a little bit more action on it. I'd say out of all of his pitches right now, that's probably the best one. The slider only at a 45 grade overall. That's because it kind of just lacks that movement. It lacks that bite. So the Red Sox, they're going to have to figure something out here. Up next, we had Dylan Brown in the 8th round. Now, Dylan Brown is interesting to me. I feel like he's a pretty balanced pitching prospect overall. Now, not ranked on Baseball America, but again, you're seeing all the similar characteristics here. 6'5", 230 pounds, 15 starts last year for Old Dominion. ERA at 4.06, 11 strikeouts per 9, 3 walks per 9. Very good strikeout to walk ratio. Another guy with a 3/4 slot. He's got a 3-pitch mix. He's got a low 90s fastball, low 80s slider, has some decent movement on it. A low 80s changeup that he's very confident in throwing. So, to me, if a guy has a good feel for his changeup, I think that sets up for a lot of things, right? Especially if you can get that velo up a little bit, create a bit more separation on those two pitches. I think you got something there. So I do like that he's got a good changeup already. I'd say right now, he looks more like the potential for like a back end of the rotation depth kind of a guy. But again, another canvas guy. Maybe they can get something out of him. 268. In the 9th round, we had Jacob Meyers, another monster here, 6'5". However, a bit more lanky for Jacob Meyers. Only 205 pounds at 6'5". Just to give you some context, I'm 5'11", and I weigh 215 pounds. So I got about 10 pounds on this guy, but he's got about 7 inches on me. Or 6 inches. I can't do math in my head. So we need to maybe up the weight a little bit with Jacob Meyers. I think that could go a long way in increasing the velo a little bit. But the difference with Jacob Meyers, another difference, he does have a big frame, but he's not one of these big-framed, low-velo guys. He's actually got big stuff. He pitched out of LSU's bullpen last year. ERA at 4.80, but he struck out a lot of guys. 15 strikeouts per 9 last year. But here is the problem with Jacob Meyers. 12 walks per 9. The guy has no command. Right? He's a pure stuff guy. So if they could figure something out with him mechanically to get him just more on track to throwing more strikes, we might have something here because he's already got the stuff. He's got an upper 90s fastball with a ton of life. He's got it up to 102 miles per hour. A lot of ride on the fastball as well. He had a 42% swing and miss rate on it last year. So, Jacob Meyers, big fastball, hard slider, hard changeup as well. Again, he has to throw more strikes. I'm definitely seeing more of a reliever here down the road. That's pretty much the ceiling, but who knows? Maybe he can end up turning into a pretty solid setup guy down the road. Now, getting into the 10th round. Let's actually get back to a position player here. My goodness, there's so many pictures to talk about. I love the name of their 10th pick, or their pick in the 10th round. Maximus Martin. Love that name. Absolutely love that. Shortstop out of Kansas State. Ranked number 184 by Baseball America. Plays a lot of different positions. Shortstop, center field, second base. Good athlete overall. They give him a 50 run. I would say he's more of a 55, personally. And there's some athletic upside here. He's got a 50 power, and he's got a 50 field. So this is a guy, to me, where there could be some utility player upside with him. A guy that, could be a really solid bench player down the road. I could see him having at least a floor like that, because I think he can do a lot of good things. Now, he transferred to Kansas State this past year so he can get more playing time. And Ended up setting a career high in home runs his first year full-time. 14 homers. Also had 18 doubles as well. OPS over 1,000. He does need to cut down on the strikeouts, though. Baseball America only gives him a 40 hit tool overall. So he's got to have to work on that. On the strikeouts, he had 55 over 243 plate appearances. That's a 23% strikeout rate. And that might not sound terrible, but if you're doing that at the college level, yeah, I mean that's pretty high for college overall. And he only had a 12% walk rate. So got to improve the plate discipline here. But he hits the fastball well. That's something he has shown he can hit velo. He's just got to work on his pitch recognition when it comes to the secondaries. Now, let's move on here to the later picks. We're really starting to get into these later rounds here, rounds 11 through 20. Now, we had Barrett Morgan in the 11th round at pick number 328. Another big-bodied guy here. It just sounds like a big old country guy out there, a guy that just lifts barrels of hay. Barrett Morgan. I love that name. Out of Cowley County Community College. Man, oh man, how do they find these guys? I don't understand this. 6'5". He's got a mid-90s fastball. He recently committed to transferring to Texas A&M for his junior year. So I think the fact that he has a mid-90s fastball already, or he can get it up to the mid-90s, and he has a pretty solid curveball to go along with it, I wonder if there's a good chance he ends up just going to Texas A&M to improve his stock, because if he has himself a good season there at definitely a higher-ranked school, obviously not being a community college, who knows? Maybe he can end up improving his stock to, say, I don't know, maybe 5th, 4th, maybe 3rd round. You never know. I'm wondering that here with Barrett Morgan at pick number 11.
Hey, have you heard of Bilt? No? Do you pay rent? Yes? Okay, good. Let's talk. There's no cost to join, and just by paying rent, you unlock flexible points that can be transferred to your favorite hotels and airlines, a future rent payment, your next Lyft ride, and much more. When you pay rent through Bilt, you unlock 2 powerful benefits. First, you earn one of the industry's most valuable points on rent every month. No matter where you live or where your landlord is, your rent now works for you, and you gain access to exclusive neighborhood benefits in your city. Bilt's neighborhood benefits are things like extra points on dining out, complimentary post-workout shakes, and much more. Unique experiences that only Bilt members can access. And when you're ready to travel, Bilt points can be converted to your favorite miles and hotel points around the world, meaning your rent can literally take you places. So if you're not earning points on rent, my question is, what are you waiting for? Start paying rent through Bilt and take advantage of your neighborhood benefits by going to joinbilt.com/foul. That's joinbilt.com/FOUL. Make sure to use our URL so that they know we sent you.
With the 12th pick, we had Ethan Walker out of University of Kentucky, lefty on the mound. Getting back to the pitchers here, 6'2", 195 pounds. ERA at a 4.08 last year, 9.5 strikeouts per 9. Has a 5-pitch mix. I love a guy that has a lot of pitches to work with already. He's got a low 90s fastball. He's got a slider, curveball, cutter, and a changeup. There's not too much on him out there. That was really the most I could find. But for me, in my opinion, he's had some decent success at a pretty good college at University of Kentucky, a 5-pitch mix. So I think there's something to work with there. Jack Winnie out of Wake Forest, one of the better baseball colleges out there. Jack Winnie at pick number 388. And he's listed as a third baseman, but he can also play first base and outfield. Had a really good season this past year. Hit 296, a 987 OPS, 15 homers, 13 doubles. Good strikeout to walk ratio, 17% strikeout rate, and a 13% walk rate. I'd like to see more walks there, but not terrible overall. He's got a pretty solid offensive profile. He swings at good pitches, right? He's swinging at pitches in the zone, swinging at hittable pitches. He takes his walks, pulls the ball. That's another good thing that was mentioned in the scouting report, is that he has a good feel for pulling the ball, right? That's one kind of I feel like it's an underrated aspect that we kind of forget about. Guys that can pull the ball, especially making hard contact, I mean, that's something scouts like to see overall. Yes, sure, we want to see the ability to hit to opposite field, but we love seeing, that hard contact on the pull side. So, and they also mentioned here in the scouting report on Baseball America that his hardest hit balls are with positive launch angle. So there could be something to work with there. Maybe a guy that could tap into a little bit of power, a little bit more power down the road. And who knows, maybe he ends up getting a spot on a team somewhere. I think there could be something here put into the right system. Makes a lot of sense. And the Red Sox, like I've already said, they have a knack for developing position player talent. 14th round, they took Carter Rasmussen out of Wofford College. Wofford College. Righty, another big body, 6'5", low to mid-90s on the fastball, but he's got a 5-pitch mix, slider, curveball, cutter, and a changeup. Pitched out of the bullpen last year, but had pretty good numbers, 3.21 ERA, 12 strikeouts per 9. You're seeing this trend of Craig just going out there, these guys in the scouting department for the Red Sox, just finding these big dudes, right, with, these canvases that you can just keep working with. And the fact that they found this guy out of Wofford College, pitching out of the bullpen, I mean, this is finding possible diamonds in the rough, if you ask me. We'll see what they can do. Round number 15, they pick Skylar King. Speed. That's the name of the game here with Skylar King. 13 stolen bases in 59 games last year. Not a lot of power. Only had a 398 slugging last season, but he did hit 291 with a 415 on base. So the fact that he makes a good amount of contact and he takes his walks, not bad, if you ask me. 6'1", 180 pounds. So I think you can even add a little bit more there to the frame. Maybe unlock a little bit more pop there, increase that strength a little bit. Coming out of West Virginia University, I mean, hey, you know what? These guys coming out of college, I think a lot of people assume that just because they're coming out of college, they're more of closer to a finished project. I don't agree with that necessarily. I think you can definitely still keep adding on a lot to these college guys. So Skylar King sounds like he could be an exciting player, possibly down the road. Here's an interesting one. Round number 16 at pick number 478. They took Jason Gilman out of Keene University. This was a fun pick. You would never know unless you really had to dive and go into the Google machine and find some stuff. He was the Division III Pitcher of the Year last year. Division III. I know we always think of all the big-time colleges, right? Arkansas and University of Florida and Tennessee and Wake Forest and all of them, right? You always forget, oh yeah, there's D2, there's D3. They found this guy at a D3. Listen to these numbers from last year. This guy was ridiculous. He went 14-1 with a 2.08 ERA and 150 strikeouts over 112 and a third innings pitched. He struck out 14 batters against the number 1 seed, Johns Hopkins University, in the D3 College World Series. They knocked them out. Holy cow. Those numbers are ridiculous. A 2.08 ERA, 14-1 record. Now, there's not really much of a scouting report out there with him. The best I could find was a scouting report from the Prep Baseball Report when he was coming out of high school. So, I mean, that's, a good 4 years ago. So, you can't really go off of that very much. But at the time, he had a mid-80s fastball. But that's coming out of high school for a lefty. So I would imagine now he's probably somewhere in that 90 mile per hour range. I would imagine he's added a little bit more there. And he's got a curveball and a changeup. But the fact that he had these results, I wonder what these results would be at D1. Would he be more like a 4 ERA kind of a guy? I don't know. I don't even know what the correlation would be there. But I don't know. Sounds like a pretty... really looking for a diamond out there. You're really looking for that diamond in the rough. Maybe they have something here. I don't know. Again, those are really good numbers. So, even though it's D3. 17th round, they took Patrick Golly, right-hander out of Mississippi. 6'2", 215 pounds. He only pitched 7 innings last year. I believe he was dealing with an injury. So there's not really much of a sample size to work off of there. But he's got a mid-90s fastball. He can get it up to the upper 90s. Cutter and a slider. I do wonder if he goes back to college for another year. We'll see. Because, again, he didn't really pitch all that much. I could definitely see him maybe going back another year. just to try and up his stock a little bit. But maybe the Red Sox, I don't know. I mean, the fact that he's already got some pretty good stuff, I would imagine his stock fell because he just missed a lot of time last year. So I don't know. Maybe the Red Sox go a bit over slot with this pick, possibly, because there is stuff to work with here. 18th round, they took Cade Fisher, left-hander out of Auburn. Now, he made it to the SEC all-freshman team while he was with UF back in 2023, ended up transferring to Auburn. Not great numbers this past year, ERA at 4.68. Decent strikeout rate, though, 11 strikeouts per 9. Not a lot on the fastball, once again. Upper 80s, but he has hit 94. So, hey, low 90s fastball? I don't know. Can they do something there? Maybe. Slider changeup to go along with it. I'm going to guess he ends up staying at Auburn for another year. Again, you want to try and up that stock, right? We'll see if they, maybe they can come to terms on an agreement on something. 19th round. This, I think, is one of the most interesting picks. I think you could say this is probably the most interesting pick out of all of these. Fabian Bonilla out of the Christian Military Academy in Puerto Rico. 6'2", 200 pounds at 18 years old. Has a muscular frame. There's not a lot out there on him. I saw a video on Instagram, and you're watching him at the plate, and you're like, wow, this guy, he's 18. He's just got like a frame on him. He's got like a lean, muscular frame. He committed to Florida Southwestern State College. I'd never even heard of that college. I live in Florida. I've never even heard of that. But when you with that video that I watched him on Instagram, he just looks like has a bit of a presence up there. Just has a good athletic stance. Just looks like a kid that's just ready to hit. And the video that I watched hit a massive home run. Good physical swing, good bat speed as well. I'm thinking to myself, he's 18? Holy cow. It's a 19th round pick. Again, it's one of these guys, when you go into the later rounds, you see a lot of them where maybe they want to go back to college for another year. I wonder with him, because he looks really good. I mean, for a 19th round pick, there was something there. So I wonder if he ends up going to college and he ends up, just playing a couple of years there and, tries again. But man, there might be something. I wonder if the Red Sox really, really try with this one. Definitely go with like some kind of an overslot thing. We'll see. But Fabian Bonilla, go look him up. Instagram, whatever. There's a couple of videos out there on him. You'll see exactly what I mean. There's just something to him. And the last pick in this one, we had Garrison Sumner out of BYU. 6'3", had 11 starts last year. He got wrecked. ERA at an 8.32. That's not very good. Had just under 9 strikeouts per 9, though. So, not a great strikeout rate, but compared to an ERA at an 8.32, I'd say that's not the worst thing out there. I don't know. 90 miles per hour average on the fastball. You can get up to 95, slider changeup as well. So I don't know. We'll see if anything happens here. But again, I really like this draft. Overall, I think they got a lot of good upside here. Obviously, Kyson Witherspoon, the number 1 pick, another birthday gift. Marcus Phillips. Again, just watching him, I see a lot of upside with him. Good stuff, good build. Really like Marcus Phillips a lot. Godbout, I feel like could end up being one of those just really solid players down the road at one point where, he's already got a lot of good tools, but maybe the Red Sox can have him take yet even another step forward. And who knows, maybe he ends up just being a pretty solid player for you in the next couple of years. Anthony Eyanson, really like him a lot. I think, again, he already has pretty much all of the secondaries going for him right now. He's just got to get that velo up. So I really like these first 4 picks. I'm a big fan of them. Mason White, there's some upside there. A guy that I think has some good athleticism, a good amount of pop as well. And then just, going down, just a lot of these big-bodied guys with potential. You're never going to hit on all of your draft picks, but I think there is potential with this class for the Red Sox overall. I would give it an A. I think they did a great job here. A lot of upside. Really love it a lot. Everybody, that's all I got for this episode of Monster Territory. Let me know your thoughts on the Red Sox draft down below in the comments. Give me all your thoughts. Who are your favorite picks in this draft? But everybody, that's all I got for this episode. If you can on the way out, hit the like button for me. Subscribe if you're new. And I'll talk to you next time.